Please rise in body or spirit as we sing our opening song. This is number 188 in your gray hymnal.
Good morning. Oh, I think we could do a little better than that. Good morning. Oh, nice. Thank you. Thank you. Here it is, a beautiful autumn day, the first day of autumn, apparently. And I, for some reason, forgot or something, or didn't quite conceptualize that the entire Earth is going to be 12 days of sunlight and 12 days of night. So that, that is kind of amazing that our entire globe is able to do that, isn't it? It's kind of cool. And they were all connected in that way. It's kind of nice. So I am Sarah. I am your celebrant today. And Brenna was going to be your celebrant, but unfortunately she's sick. So she asked me if I would do it, and I happily said yes. And so if you like what I say today, please reach out to Brenna and let her know, because these will be her words. Okay? So welcome, everybody. Today, we welcome UUCS member James Schmidt in the pulpit, and he is going to be sharing how caring for community can come with challenges and gifts. James will share his experience in helping people build spaces where people feel safe and loved, hopefully like UUCS. Our religion is a religion of social concern, a religion of intellectual and ethical integrity, a religion that emphasizes the dynamic conception of history and the scientific worldview, a religion that stresses the dignity and worth of the person as the supreme value, and goodwill as the creative force in human relations. This religion can and ought to become a beacon from which this kind of faith shines. Please join me in saying our affirmation. This is our way. Here we seek to create a joyful home for free religious exploration, build a community of caring fellowship, nurture the hopes, and serve the needs of our world. Grant us the ability to find joy and strength, not in the strident call to arms, but in stretching out our arms, to grasp our fellow creatures in the striving for justice and truth. Thank you.
Careful the things you say, children will listen. Careful the things you do, children will see. Children may not obey, but children will listen. Children will look to you for which way to turn, to learn what to be. Careful before you say, listen to me. Children will listen. Careful the wish you make. Wishes are children. Careful the path they take. Wishes come true, not free. Careful the spell you cast, not just on children. Sometimes the spell may last past what you can see and turn against you. Careful the tale you tell, that is the spell. Children will listen.
So James is going to come up and light the candles for us today. Each week we light 3 chalices. The first is for us, members and friends of the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Salem. The second chalice we light is for our partner church in Schmidt, Transylvania, Romania, where I believe, if I understand the email correctly, Christine, they are not having flood. Is that what you understand from the email as well? So that's nice, that's lovely. And then the third chalice we light is for our children and youth, both in religious education as well as the world at large. May this flame with light remind us that every one of us can bring the light of love to the world. May this clear flame be a symbol that every heart can burn bright with joy, peace, and harmony. May the wisdom of ages speak to us through this flame and stay in us. Every one of us can be a blessing to the world. Please join me in singing The Flame into Life.
Good morning. Can everybody young or young at heart please join me up front? Hi, come on up. Yeah, come on up. Come on up, kids. Today is the equinox. Thank you. Wonderful. Hi, good morning. Hello. Okay. I just wanted to say a quick thank you to our volunteers that came out to Salem Pride yesterday to help us, and our youth groupers that came out and did the face painting. We had so many people come up to our booth, and so many people sign up to learn more about being a UU and our LRE program. So it was a really great experience. Thank you, guys. This whole month in LRE, we have been learning about the practice of invitation. So inviting reconnection, inviting renewal and difference, inviting the new. And this week we are learning about inviting in spiritual practices like chalice lighting and covenant making. So in that spirit, I have a book called The Invitation by Stacy Mayfowles and Marie LaFrance. And once again, you can look at the pages on the back there on the screen. Okay. It was a beautiful fall day when Fern pulled a mysterious yellow envelope from her mailbox. The sun was shining, the birds were singing, and the leaves were turning from green to gold. But Fern didn't notice any of that. Instead, she stared at the mysterious envelope, worrying about all the things that could possibly be inside. The more Fern worried, the longer she waited to open the envelope. And the longer she waited to open the envelope, the more she worried. Questions clouded her mind. What if something's happened? Fern wondered. What if it's bad news? What if, what if, what if? Fern worried so hard and wondered so long that she didn't even notice her friend Fawn appear on the front lawn. Beautiful fall day, Fawn called. What's that you have there? I don't really know, Fern replied sadly. Then you should open it, open it, open it, called Fawn, swatting away the storm. Whatever it is, we'll face it together. And so, with Fawn standing beside her, Fern slowly tore open the mysterious envelope. What was inside? A super special surprise exhibition. It was an invitation. But I don't like surprises, Fern said. What could possibly happen? Asked Fawn. Fern thought about this important question, clutching the invitation close to her chest. Bless you. I have a great idea, Fawn said with another swat. I will go with you to the museum. Reluctantly, Fern agreed. As they walked, Fern continued to worry and wonder. What if we can't make it in time for the super special surprise? Fern asked. Well, then, we'll ask a friendly chipmunk for a shortcut through the forest, of course, Fawn replied. But what if a tree suddenly falls and blocks the shortcut? Fern asked. Well, then we'll ask a grumpy bear to lift it for us, of course, Fawn replied. Much to Fern's very pleasant surprise, they had made it all the way to the museum. Fern suddenly noticed the sun was shining, the birds were singing, and the leaves were turning from green to gold. She also noticed something else. Lots of other guests with their own bright yellow envelopes. Shall we go in and be surprised? Fawn asked. Fern took a deep breath. Of course. What could possibly happen? What were they doing inside? Can you see what they were doing? What were they doing? Dancing. They're having a good time. The sun was setting, the birds were going to bed, and everyone agreed that it had been a day full of wonderful surprises. Fern waved goodbye as the little car drove away. And just before going inside, she took a peek in her mailbox. The end. Okay. Thank you. One more thing. We have Parents' Night Out this Friday from 6 to 9 p.m. And it's going to be a good time. We're watching the new Inside Out 2. And dinner's included. So if you want to sign up, you can come find me, or you can email me at dlre@uusalem.org. Okay, if you can stand up in the center and create the love arch, we'll be on our way. Thank you.
I think the adults like the Love Arch as much as the kids. Not more. This is a home of peace. Breathe in a grateful breath that you sit here. This moment of your life, safely and in silence. There is a war raging far from this place of comfort. We know it is there. We know our brothers and sisters suffer its poisonous touch. Our hearts are weighted with what we cannot resolve. So here we lift a banner in our own souls and remember that in this place, in this moment, we are not at war. Breathe in the truth of this moment. Here is our strength, our deep well of courage. Breathing in, we rest our spirits. Breathing out, we pray for peace. May those in harm's way be safe for another day. May those who drive the engines of power be awakened by compassion. May we all hold the cup filled with courage and will that has been carried by peacemakers in long ages before us. May we drink of it deeply and be steadfast in the ways of peace. Compassion and gratitude is our way.
Hello, everyone. My name is Joan Stembridge, and today I am your Lifelines lay minister representative. Lifelines is a team of dedicated people who provide emotional support to members and friends of UUCS. We can be identified by our purple badges and our purple stoles. And we work closely with the minister. You can reach us by calling the UUCS office or by using the link that's available online. Please reach out to us if you are in distress and would appreciate a good listener. And today in Hanneman Hall, not only do we have the Lifelines table, but we have pet therapy with Ricky and with Eric Schumann. So if you love dogs, please come. And now I'll share the joys and concerns, and the joys and sorrows. If you have a personal joy so wonderful that you just can't contain it, please share it. And if you have a personal sorrow so heavy you need someone else to help you carry it, please share it. And today we have just one concern, and it's from Sarah Gonzalez. And Sarah, you saw just a minute ago with her leg in a brace. And she says, please help my leg heal fast. So she injured yesterday and is quite uncomfortable. And that is, now it's time for one last candle. And this is for all the joys and concerns that each of us has and have not yet shared. Thank you.
I know this rose will
The reading today is written by Brenna, called Safe Spaces in the Schools. Safe spaces could and should be everywhere, for everyone. I'm going to speak about the school environment, especially the elementary school, since that's where I work. A school should be a safe space, but unfortunately, that is not always the situation. In 27 years working in schools, I've met 5 trans students and several that are gay. The students I work with have disabilities. One of the things I work hard to do is to educate the peers of my students and help them see that my kids are the same as them, but just need to do some things differently. But I've had students who were bullied, and all I do is continue to advocate more fiercely. One of my current students is one of the most popular little girls on the playground. She is blind and has at least 10 little girls grouped around her all during recess. One of the trans students at my school that I know is very well treated by her classmates, almost being very protective of her. I've talked with her before, and she says that she feels very safe at school. Unfortunately, she doesn't always feel safe outside of school. That's sad that a 9-year-old can verbalize this to me. As long as I am in the school, I will continue to advocate and educate.
Hello? Is this okay? Sorry, is there a?
Yeah. You're taller than I am.
Yeah.
I think it should be a rule. Everyone's fine, right?
Yeah. So, one of the most wonderful experiences in my life has been creating community for others. It's been lovely to see people grow and change over having known them several years. Because of the specifics of my life journey, I have a different perspective than most. For those of you who may not have met me before, my name is James Schmidt. I use he, him pronouns, and I am neurodivergent. Specifically, I am autistic. I was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome at the age of 3, which has now been folded into the newer diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder. I also have ADHD. The term neurodivergent was coined in the 1990s by Judy Singer as a more well-rounded term to describe people whose brains work differently than the average person. Because of my neurodiversity, traditional school didn't much work out for me, so I ended up being homeschooled and supplementing that with classes at Village Home Education Resource Center. With Village Home, I enrolled in a few extracurriculars, and my mother started teaching classes there. And this is a big part of where I first saw the gears behind the magic. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, it's important enough that the homily is named after it, so I had better explain it. The gears behind the magic is the flowery, poetic name I give to the systems and mechanics that make wondrous things possible. For every incredible fair, there's quite a few meetings that have to happen to organize it. To make the wonderful classes at Village Home work, there's a lot of scheduling and planning that goes into it. One trap that people often fall into is believing that healthy, joyful communities just sort of appear from sheer force of human kindness. And while that's partly true, communities do happen organically. You need to be intentional about the environment you create for your community. And this was something I learned from my close proximity to the gears behind the magic. My mother was the director for the Salem campus of Village Home, is currently working for the State Department of Education, has taught middle school and high school, directed several plays at various different theaters, worked on lights and sound for theaters, founded a nonprofit nature center, and is currently helping with this very service. She's a woman of many talents, and so that makes me the director's son. Because I am the director's son, I am often in a position to see behind the curtain. Things like seeing who is cast in a show before it is released to the general audience, or having to stay late because my mother needed to be there for an important meeting. While I was taking classes at Village Home Salem, for example, I needed to get up early because Mom needed to unlock the building and set up for the day. I still remember helping roll out carts from the storage room, making sure to go carefully over the lines where the floor would change from carpet to tile and back again. My mother helps keep the gears turning, and this is how I learned to keep the gears turning in my own life. I loved helping to create that community as the director's son. I kept the gears turning as the director's son, and I kept the gears turning with my peers on the Learner Council. The Learner Council is essentially the student government equivalent of Village Home that helps with event planning and helping keep up community spirit at Village. When COVID hit, this role had several massive upheavals, along with everything else, of course. So the director asked us to create some kind of way for the community to stay connected over the next few weeks until things calm down. Funny in hindsight. One of the technically gifted members of our council created a server hosted by Discord to communicate with, as well as our own Minecraft server. The social messaging platform Discord let us stay connected through texting and as well as voice channels that work kind of like group phone calls. Most of our work in the council meetings was on screens anyway, so the transition to being the Discord Learner Council was fairly easy in a workflow sense, and we began planning events and activities and things we could do online. And then it became clear that we were going to be in this for a lot longer than we thought. And these events that we were holding started to become a lifeline in earnest. The events that I ended up taking on were running a Dungeons & Dragons game with 2 sessions every week for the younger kids, and hosting one half of the weekly Minecraft event. The D&D event went on for several months, and the Minecraft event is still going after I stepped down last week. My work on the server provided an anchor to me. I knew what day it was by what event had just happened and what event was coming up. And I couldn't lose my sanity because I had an obligation to these children and to my colleagues. I would have originally thought that having this extra responsibility would just further intensify the stress. But in these kinds of situations, having an obligation is helpful because it removes the option of simply losing one's mind. And it helps to keep you connected with other amazing people. I have never been so blessed as to be surrounded by the creativity and bright joy of others. And this community was no exception. It was hard. children can be overwhelming sometimes, especially if you cannot see body language for social cues. But I learned so much. I learned how to guide a conversation. I learned how to hear when a conversation was turning sour and people needed to be guided away from it. Learned how to stand in the middle of chaos and move through it to the other side. And I learned how much of a help it can be to have kind, helpful people attending the event. You'd be surprised at just how incredible it can be to have just a small amount of assistance. I remember that one of the most helpful occurrences was when someone was being overly critical of someone else's build, and I attempted to redirect the conversation to the newest update of the game we were playing. And another learner would immediately latch on and begin excitedly discussing what they liked about it and what they didn't, and what they thought was interesting about it. And the negativity and friction would fade into the background of the past. Sometimes one of the most helpful things you can do is to just be part of the flow of conversation. One of the funniest things I would redirect to would be another council member's impression of Moss Man. You know, the cryptid, the scary monster lurking outside your house in the woods. You don't know surrealist humor until you've heard your friend and colleague say, "You know, I've realized that stalking people through the woods and eating their cattle is actually pretty unethical. And I just wanted to apologize for trying to eat you last week. I've been doing a lot of work on myself and trying to change." I still remember listening to that and I could not stop laughing for 10 straight minutes. We had an event on the Minecraft server that we called the Serverversary to celebrate the first year of the server being active. It went 24 hours, and we had a series of events during it. One of them was a cooperative challenge to collect every armor piece in the game in a world full of monsters. I remember that it was a really hard challenge, a bit harder than we intended. I myself was one of the participants, and it was all I could do to find a cave free of monsters and block it up with gravel. And then other people playing made it to my cave and brought useful items they found. And then more people came, and they added to the cave. And the people who were adept at fighting the monsters went and got more materials. And the people who were adept at building stayed and turned the cave into a beautiful underground base. And we got the armor pieces and completed the challenge and stood triumphant in our new home. And all from a tiny, unworked cave that I had to block up with gravel. And what amazed me about this is that it wasn't planned out in advance. It was framed as a cooperative challenge, sure, but there was no team selection, no strategy meeting. We simply fostered the right environment, and it happened organically. These kinds of lessons are what I bring with me into my everyday life. My parents have also modeled this with how we provide sanctuary for others. When I was much younger, there was someone we knew whose family hated him for who his heart loves. He needed a place to stay, and so we opened our home to him. To this day, he is a dear friend of ours. He no longer stays with us, having since traveled to where he needs to be, but we still consider him a part of our family, a part of our community. Bit by bit, we have built our community. How we support local theater with our time, skill, and efforts. How we help organize homeschooling events. How we help make a safe space with our home. This is the approach I take to life. For example, there is this theater event called the State Thespian Festival, where kids from school theater departments across the state come to see great stage productions, learn new and awesome things, and just generally celebrate theater. The original location of Village Home is in Beaverton, so most of the kids live an hour away from Salem, where the festival is hosted. Naturally, that's a bit of a rough commute, so one of the things we did was let the kids from Beaverton and Portland stay at our house for the weekend. Naturally, there are a lot of gears involved in this process. We need to feed them, we need to make sure they have a place to sleep, blankets, pillows. But what lovely gears are these? For that weekend, the house is full of chaos. For that weekend, the house is full of song. And it is a strange wonder to see children learning the same lessons you learned and going through the same things you did. And this is a place where I help turn the gears behind the magic. I delight in making my home a place to rest, to recover, making sure that everyone has what they need to stay the night. If folks need blankets, I find them. If they need a glass of water to take their pills with, I show them where the glasses are. These things take time, but they are worth it. When they smile at me after I get them the blankets and things they need, it fills me with a joy that can only be found from building community. And sometimes it's tricky, and sometimes it's awkward. You have to watch over the kids to make sure they're not getting into trouble. You have to be intentional about it. The last festival, my mother and my friendship sister had to get up early to rouse the children, make sure that everything is in order, and rush off with the thespians to catch the first event. So I decided that I would be the last one to go to bed every night. I stayed up with them, helped guide the conversations, as I had learned how to do from the weekly Minecraft event that I mentioned, and made sure that everything went smoothly. Delighting in the metaphorical clicking of the gears, I would walk into my room with everyone headed to sleep. I also helped participate in the festival as a workshop monitor, making sure the people in charge of teaching the kids exciting new things about theater showed up on time and had what they needed, and writing down a report of how they did for the admin team. However, the second workshop I oversaw had the instructor fail to arrive. No notice, no message. This is fairly distressing. But sometimes these things happen, and I know what to do when the gears start malfunctioning. So I call up the admin team at the front desk for the event. I already have the number I need to reach the folks at the front desk, because one of them is my mother. We talk back and forth for a bit, and eventually we settle on leading the kids in some theater games. We want to keep the kids focused while we wait for the instructor to arrive. Like I said, you have to be intentional. Getting and keeping the attention of 30 kids is tricky, but excuse me. But I am not alone. Two of the people from my group of thespians are here, also waiting for this workshop. Hey kids, come and help me patch up the gears. They do well getting some theater games started, and then the instructor is still not here. And here we have an interesting and fortunate chain of events. Because you see, these same thespians from Village Home are also very skilled in the type of theater that the workshop is about. So my mother from the front desk advises me to have them teach the workshop with me facilitating. I take a deep breath, wait for an opening to take them aside from the theater games they are running, and start figuring out how I am going to raise their spirits enough to convince them that this will work. They have not been this close to the gears before, but I have been close enough for all three of us. To me, the inner workings are an old friend. And it works. They teach the other kids what they know, and everybody has a blast. I couldn't have possibly done it without them, but they couldn't have done it without me. It is not any one of us that is strong. It is the community. Theater itself is an expression of the gears behind the magic. Theater is art and instinct, and theater is also intellect and methodology. It is art and instinct because there is not an exact equation to it. As one of my favorite acting teachers says, acting is not A plus B equals C. But it is also intellect and methodology because it comes from practice and understanding. I find that people often miss that other side of the coin when they have not done theater themselves. Whenever she was directing a show, one of that teacher's main principles was that we would be performing the same show every night, because you build up a routine with your fellow actors, and when you disrupt that routine, you disrupt the show. A good theater show is working like a well-oiled machine. The end of an actor's monologue cueing another actor's entrance, and that entrance cues the tech booth to shift the lighting. And this in turn motivates a stagehand dressed in all black, waiting just off stage, and reminds them that they need to grab onto a set piece and ready themselves to move it on stage. And all the while, another actor in the makeup room overhears the lines spoken in this scene and knows they have to head backstage because their entrance is coming up soon. The gears turn and make magic on the stage. You build a machine with every show you do, and you build a community with every show you do. I take these things with me to Evergreen. The knowledge, the understanding, the experience, all of it. I look forward to seeing the gears behind the magic at Evergreen, but I will always remember the time spent building community here. It has been a joy and a frustration, and a sorrow and a wonder. It has been an anchor that binds me and an anchor that secures me. It has not always been good, but it has always been worth it. More than anything, it has been worth it. Thank you. Now we head into a meditation. I'm going to ask you now to please focus on your senses. Try to open your mind. Focus on what is happening around you. Perhaps close your eyes if that helps clear your mind. It could be a sound, the humming of a fan, the passing of a car outside. Perhaps it is even a feeling, your body in your seat, or headphones on your ears, or feet resting on your shoes that are resting on the floor. Focus on these sensations. You will most likely have other distracting thoughts, anxieties about personal events, world events, past events, other more humorous thoughts, or simply odd ideas that pop into your mind. Don't worry about being distracted by these thoughts. These aren't your brain rebelling against meditation. This is your brain using meditation. Don't focus on these. Just allow your subconscious the room to resolve them. Check in with your body by focusing on the individual parts. How do your feet feel? How do your legs feel? How does your torso, your chest feel? How do your arms and hands feel? How does your neck and shoulders feel? And finally, how does your head feel? Are you resting it on something or holding it up tall? Let yourself release the tension in your body. There are many times when you need to push yourself, to strive, but now is one of many times when you need to relax, to let your thoughts resolve with the space you've given them. To let things be calm. Spaces for peaceful inactivity are rare in the bustling modern world. Allow yourself this one. When you are ready, allow yourself to push the mechanisms of your body back into action. Stepping out of the space you've given yourself to rest, to meditate. Some of your anxious thoughts may return, or perhaps they were never truly resolved. That's okay. Nobody has a perfectly sanitized or orderly mind. That's part of the joy in humanity. Simply hold on to some of this inner peace you've made in the meditative state and return to action.
Thank you, James, for that beautiful and meaningful story of your journey in helping create safe spaces. And know that we all send our love and well wishes with you as you continue on your journey. And we hope to hear more from you when you come back. Thank you. And now we are ready for the share the plate section of our service. We can express giving in many forms, such as volunteerism, supporting communities such as UUCS, both in pledges and in time, and supporting organizations in the wider Salem area. Weekly, we support the Marion Polk Food Share, and for the month of September, we support Home Youth Services. Home Youth Services is a combination of services and programs for at-risk youth, including a day shelter and drop-in services, and an overnight emergency shelter. They provide a safe and supportive environment for both immediate needs as well as long-term growth. In order to donate, for those of you in person, you may place donations, including checks written out to UUCS, in the bags that are going to be passed. You can look at your order of service that was passed out to you and look at the little QR code. You can also visit the website to donate, as can people who are watching us online. Go to the website to donate. Thank you for all that you do in maintaining UUCS and the wider community of Salem.
Before we start this next song, I'd like to give you just the smallest bit of context. This is from a musical, and the character this is written for, who sings it originally, is immortal and is singing to a mortal girl about the dangers of immortality and about the way the world works. And so this one today goes out to our James, who leaves for Evergreen on Tuesday and who I will miss very dearly. And I was saying the other day, man, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to make a Maeve and James amount of coffee, and there will only be Maeve to drink the Maeve and James amount of coffee. So either I need to start remeasuring all my coffee, or Monday's going to get weird. But in any case, this is the wheel. I bet you didn't know that the sun took a shine to water. She drinks up a bit, floats it up to the sky. What she takes from our lake will make her a storm cloud that rumbles and tumbles rain from up high, high, high. It's a wheel, Winnie, this journey of ours. Sun to lake to cloud that showers rain back to our lake below. And you'll ride that wheel wherever you go. Not a minute or moment's the same. The wheel, it keeps you guessing. And everything around you is along for the ride. The pond, the bullfrogs, the birch trees, your hound dog, and people, all people ebb and flow with the tide, tide, tide. It's a wheel, Winnie, the ripple in water. Girl to wife to mother to daughter, like all your kinfolk. Come and gone, can't stop rowing, growing, changing, then moving on. Once you drop an anchor, a boat gets stuck. It could stay forever, just floating on top, watching life pass it by, just floating on top. Show me how to climb back on the wheel. I'll be there, slick as a slingshot, prepared to get off at the end and share with someone my spot. You can't have living without dying, so you can't call this living what I've got. We just are, we just be. No before, no beyond. My rowboat's anchored in the middle of a pond. It's a wheel, Winnie, a ripple in water. Girl to wife to mother to daughter, like all your kinfolk. Come and gone. It's a wheel, a circle in motion. Can't stop rowing, growing, changing, then moving on. Can't stop rowing, growing, changing, then moving on.
Thank you, Maeve and Lorianne, for sharing your gifts this morning. It's deeply appreciated. So next week, we have homeless Nadine. Sorry, Nadine. Let's show a minute. Thank you, Bob and Barbara, for nodding your heads. She's in Utah still, so she didn't hear me struggle with that unless she's watching. Hopefully she's not watching. I really should practice, right? Sorry about that. Anyway, she's going to be here. She's marvelous. She's going to talk about the concept of my personal religion. What does that mean? And the invitation that has played out over a lifetime and, as we all experience within ourselves, continues on every day, which is fabulous. Before we go, right, so in 2 weeks then, Barbara and I are going to do the annual animal blessing service. Eric, is Ricky or Kimber coming to the animal blessing service? Neither one, unfortunately. Well, we blessed them last year, so I guess the blessing just continues. I am thinking, where's George? George is not here. I'm thinking of bringing my own cat, Missy, possibly. So just beware. I'm sort of excited. If you would like your pet or animal that's in your life, whatever that may be, excuse me, including the little caterpillar I found yesterday on my patio, to be blessed as they should be, but you don't feel comfortable bringing them in, you may send a picture to Doc at production team at uusalem.org. Please buy 10 too, so that he can put them into pictures, into slides, and so that we can then put it into OBS. Greatly appreciated. In other news, Becky wanted you all to know that the Women's Alliance has arranged for all the chairs in Hanneman Hall to be professionally cleaned tomorrow. Yay. Absolutely. I know, right? We've been working on this for a while, so yay for that. And so they're gonna start setting them up in order for this to happen during a little bit later on during coffee service. And so if you have an inkling to move chairs for them, they would be greatly appreciated. That'd be fabulous. Besides that, how many people get the Friday email update? Okay, pretty good. Deborah's saying yeah, sometimes no. So if you do not, I highly recommend that you, A, go sign the little clipboard that is on the table out there as you walk past, and or B, call or email the office and say, hey, here's my email list, please add me to that communication. And you also that way get the newsletter as well, which is great, because that way you get to know what everything's going on. And that, I think, is all we have for today. So now I'm going to ask James to come up again with the social justice lantern. And he's going to take the light from our chalice, lighting the social justice lantern, as a symbolic reminder of all that we do in our daily lives to help a hurting world. As we extinguish the chalices, let us remember these words by Frederick Gillis. May the love which overcomes all differences, which heals all wounds, which puts to flight all fears, which reconciles all who are separated, be in us and among us, now and always.
Please rise in body or spirit as we sing our closing song, number 1064 or 1064 in the blue hymnal, Blue Boat Home.
remain standing and join me in saying our closing words? May faith in the spirit of life, hope for the community of earth, and love for the sacred in one another be ours now and in all the days to come.